Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Oh my God. Good morning in the United States, East Coast, and good early evening to our friends in Europe, and good day to everybody else where I don't know your time zone. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Black Opera Live, presented by Black Opera Productions, LLC. And it's all in support of Black Opera, the film soon to come your way. Thank you so much for all of your support thus far. I am your host, Kenneth Overton. I am so excited, everybody, so excited to be with you today and to bring you three of the most glorious, gorgeous, talented, exceptional, incredible women that have given me the privilege of speaking with them today and sharing it with you. Oh my God, I am so excited. I could barely sleep last night. But a few things that I want to tell you before we get started. We are going back to our regularly scheduled time, which is Mondays at 7 p.m. And this coming Monday, November the 16th, I will be interviewing and sitting with the amazing Denise Graves. I am so excited to have her. So remember to tune back in on Monday, November the 16th at 7 p.m. right here with Denise Graves. My goodness. Okay, so about my guest today. As you know from my post, I'm a big history person, and I was speaking with Roberta Alexander, and she told me that January the 10th, 1989 was the day that one of the most incredible things happened on the Metropolitan Opera stage. Four gorgeous Black women sang the leading roles in Mozart's Le Notte di Figaro. It had not happened before in any opera, and it has not happened since in any opera. So in addition to being so proud about that, I'm a little bit upset. Why hasn't that happened again? But I'm here to talk to the ladies about that night and about that time in their lives and their careers when that historic moment took place. But a little bit about my guest. First, among the most compelling singing actresses of our time, the admired Black American soprano Roberta Alexander enjoys international renown for her riveting, incisive characterizations, miraculous vocal and dramatic range. She was reared in a musical family. She studied at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor from 1969 to 71, receiving a Master of Music in 71, and with Herman Voltmann at the Royal Conservatory of Music at The Hague. Roberta Alexander has appeared as Pamina at the Houston Grand Opera in 1980, as Daphne in Santa Fe in 81, and as Elettra in Idomeneo in Zurich in 1982. Following a tour of Europe, she made a successful debut at the Metropolitan Opera in New York as Zerlina in November 1983. Among the operatic heroines that she has unforgettably portrayed are the title role in Janacek's Jenufa, a Glyndebourne production, Mimi in Puccini's La Bohème, and especially the great Mozart heroines, Fior di Ligi in Così fan tutte, Donna Elvira in Don Giovanni, and Vitellia in Mozart's La Clemenza di Tito. The latter, a major success with both the public and the press at the Glyndebourne Festival. Listen, I am so excited to have Miss Roberta Alexander here. I have grown to just absolutely adore her and cannot wait to share her with you along with her incredible artistry. Next, soprano Harolyn Blackwell. I love, 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 love this lady. My goodness. She is recognized for her expressive and exuberant performances with a career that has spanned opera, concert, and recital stages around the world. Following college, the Washington, D.C. native began her career on Broadway in Leonard Bernstein's West Side Story. Shortly afterwards, she was selected as a finalist for the Metropolitan Opera National Council auditions, and her career path changed from the musical theater to opera. Since then, she has performed with many of the major national and international companies and at festivals around the world, including Lyric Opera of Chicago, the Glyndebourne Festival, Teatro Colón de Buenos Aires, Seattle Opera, Opera de Nice, Miami Opera, Canadian Opera Company, Aix-en-Provence Festival, Opera Orchestra of New York, and New York's Mostly Mozart Festival. She has appeared in several productions at the Metropolitan Opera, including Un ballo in maschera, Le Nozze di Figaro, Manon di Fledermaus, Werther, and La Fille du Régiment. Ms. Blackwell starred as Cunegonde in the Broadway revival of Candide. An accomplished recitalist, she has performed in several acclaimed concert series, including London's Wigmore Hall, Carnegie Hall's Weill Recital Hall, the Morgan Library, the Library of Congress, the San Francisco Performance Series at Herbst Hall, the Kennedy Center's Fortas Chamber Series, the Vocal Arts Society of Washington, and the Ambassador Foundation Performing Arts Series in Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, Harolyn Blackwell, she's here and I'm so excited. I just love her. And finally, Barbara Hendricks. My goodness, I am over the moon that this lady is here today, just over the moon. Swedish and Swiss citizen Barbara Hendricks was born in Stevens, Arkansas, and studied at the Juilliard School of Music in New York with Jeannie Tourelle after receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics and chemistry at the age of 20 from the University of Nebraska. My God, this woman's a genius. In 1974, she made her operatic and recital debuts, and since that moment, Barbara Hendricks' career in artistry has never ceased to grow. She has become one of the world's most loved and admired musicians, and she has sung in the major opera houses, including the Paris Opera, the Metropolitan Opera, Covent Garden, and La Scala Milan. Concert halls and festivals around the world under the direction of the greatest conductors of our time, such as Daniel Barenboim, Leonard Bernstein, Carl Böhm, Sir Colin Davis, Herbert von Karajan, Lauren Mizell, Zubin Mehta, among many, many, many others, in Sir George Schulte as well. One of the most active recitalists of her generation, she is known, in addition to her vast repertoire of German lieder, as a leading interpreter and promoter of French, American, and Scandinavian music, performing in recital and chamber music. Barbara Hendricks also made numerous world creations of composers such as Gilbert Aimé, Daniel del Tredici, and Tobias Picker, amongst others. She made her jazz debut at the Montreux Jazz Festival in 1994 and has since then performed regularly in renowned jazz festivals throughout the world. Barbara Hendricks has sold, catch it audience, has sold more than 14 million records and recorded nearly 100 albums for Sony, Decca, Deutsche Grammophon, and EMI Warner. In 2006, she launched her own record label, Arte Verum, for which she is now recording exclusively. She has worked to promote and defend human rights, and in 2007, after 20 years of untiring service to the cause of refugees as a UNHCR ambassador, they appointed her their only honorary ambassador for life in 1998. And she founded the Barbara Hendricks Foundation for Peace and Reconciliation, coordinating her work for refugees and human rights defenders. Ladies and gentlemen, you are amongst legends. You are amongst royalty. And I am so excited and privileged and honored to bring you Harolyn Blackwell, Roberta Alexander, and Barbara Hendricks. Welcome, ladies.
Hello,
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Oh, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Okay, so people in the comments are already exploding, and I'm going to put a few of the comments you'll see them on the bottom of your screen. There we are. And people are just so happy that you all are here. So let's start with you, Roberta. Will you tell us about your upbringing and how did classical music and opera come into your life?
Well, my mother was an opera singer, and my dad was a choral conductor. So I didn't have a choice there. You know, I think I sort of hit the ground running when I was only allowed, to go to my mom's concerts if I didn't sing along with her. and because I knew all her arias,
Wow.
all of them by the time I was like 6 or so, So
Wow.
that's how it came into my life. I've never known a time when it wasn't in my life. So that's the short version.
My goodness. What about you, Harolyn?
Well, I really wasn't introduced to opera until my senior year in high school. And it was really a fluke because I was applying for a Hart School of Music. And the Connecticut Opera was doing a production of Lucia de Lammermoor. And I literally snuck into the rehearsal and heard Christina Dudicum. And
Mhm.
that is when I was sold. I was just thought, okay, this is what I have to do. And then that following summer, I was in Mexico City with a
Uh-huh.
girlfriend and heard Jesse Norman in recital. And that
Wow.
just said, okay. I mean, there was always a love of music in my family. Neither my parents are musicians, but we always had music in the household, playing piano. I started voice lessons really young. But that was when the first realization of, oh, this is really amazing. This is powerful. Okay, maybe I should consider doing this in music school. So that was my first awareness.
Wow. Wow. What about you, Barbara?
Well, I always think that I started music, hearing music in my mother's stomach. And, my mother was a school teacher. My father
Uh-huh.
was a pastor, CME church. And I sang in church and I sang in school. But I was always guided toward my studies of science and mathematics. And music was something that I did after school until I was about to graduate from university, and I entered a singing contest because I was able to take voice lessons for the first time in my life as an elective course. And I met a girl that became friends, and she was entering the Met auditions, the regionals in Nebraska.
Hmm.
And she said, "Oh, why don't you do this?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And I won. I had no idea. I had no idea what I was singing. I learned my music from a recording of Leontine Price, and I found the paper the other day of the judges who said, lovely voice. What language is this? uh, and um, and all of a sudden I had people who became interested, wanted to help me. I went on to the regionals in Minnesota, and thank God I did not win. But I had all of these ladies in Lincoln, Nebraska, who wanted to support my talent, and I was offered a scholarship to Aspen, Colorado,
Mm.
and Jenny Terrell was chosen as my teacher. I'd never heard of her, and my other option that summer was to do ion complex substitution research in someplace in North Dakota or South Dakota, the Million,
Uh-huh.
whichever one of those. And I thought, oh, Aspen, Colorado sounds like a lot more fun and
Yeah.
music. And uh, and I was there for 9 weeks, and my life just turned around. And I had no idea what it was meant, but I thought, I'm young enough that I can try to take this leap of destiny, and see where this is going to lead me, where this voice leads me. And so
Yes.
that's when I decided to return to the university and start to apply to get into the Juilliard School, because Jenny Terrell said, if you want to continue, I will take you as my student.
Wow.
So,
That's incredible.
I mean, it's good,
My
yeah.
my goodness. Wow, wow, wow. What a journey. So, Roberta, my darling, who were, besides your mama, who were some of your early operatic classical music influences?
Well, I adored Eileen Farrell. I
Hmm.
mean, I just adored her, and of course, now Leontine Price. I She was uh, a graduate of my undergraduate school, which was Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. That's where I did my undergrad work. And the Blue album, had come out. And I was just besotted with this album, right? But I was convinced that this was all done with knobs and dials. Okay. So she comes to the school to get an honorary degree. And I was chosen to sing at that presentation. And I also have that program. I mean, what you do when you don't know any better, okay? So I sang at that thing where she got her honorary degree. I sang Ritorno Vincitor. I was 18 years old. Okay. She did not say, girlfriend, pack it up. Okay, pack it up. She was extremely gracious. What the school did, though, she had this big recital in Memorial Hall. And okay, so we couldn't afford to go to it. But what they did was they let us be ushers at this concert. So, we were all like, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And the whole program was just fabulous. And then she got to the encores and she sang Canzone di Doretta.
Oh.
And I broke down into tears.
Wow.
I had never heard anything in my entire life. I thought, I have to stop. I have to stop singing. This, I don't care. I could study until the cows came home. I would never be able to sound like that. It taught me a very valuable lesson. There were no knobs. There was nothing. I was just stunned that this was possible. Now that turned me around. I thought after about a week, I thought, well, I'm probably not going to ever be able to do that, but I sure can work as hard as I can to be as good as I can be. And every time, but so those kind of things. She was huge for me, huge, and Ana Moffo, and well, there's too many, and I'm talking too long. So
not at all. And I am so glad that you did not let that experience deter you from going forward. And as all of the viewers who are supporters of Black Opera Live, you know that I carry receipts. And so I'm going to give you evidence of the greatness of Roberta Alexander.
Oh dear.
Oh my God, I can listen to you sing all day. It's just so beautiful and so clean and pristine and musical and just, oh, thank you for sharing that with me and bringing that to my attention.
Thank you. Thank you. That was live from behind the Berlin Wall before the wall came down, when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
There we go. Okay.
My goodness. So, Barbara, will you tell us about some of your early classical music influences?
Well, as I said, I came to Juilliard in 1969 after graduating from university, and of course, I would say that my greatest influence was, of course, my teacher, Jenny Terrell. She became for me really the definition of what an artist could be, which is someone who is at the service of her art and always stands behind the composer. And
Yes.
I needed that because even though I considered myself to be quite rebellious against my father, who's a pastor and speaking my mind all the time, I realized that a lot of that teaching still stuck to me, and I needed a reason to do something that gave me such pleasure, which was to sing. I
Hmm.
was typical Protestant. You had work ethic. You had to be working. You had to be doing something for somebody else and not enjoying it too much. And
Yes.
when I watched Jenny Terrell work, when I watched her prepare her music, I realized that maybe if I could be an artist, this is something that is also important for my society, that I give something, and that I give something that is bigger than myself. And I think I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't had that encounter with her. She had been ill before we met, and I believe that the last 5 years that she lived, that I studied with her at Juilliard, that she lived those for me to pass something on that was very unique and that was dying out with her generation. What it meant to be an artist, what it meant to have the responsibility of being that vessel of, of, of vibration that passes through us to the audience when we stand on stage. But I like, I had very little money, so that in order for me to see concerts, I would slip into Carnegie Hall. I had friends who were ushers and who would sort of just as the doors were closing, because it used to be that once the doors closed on a recital, the doors didn't open until the intermission. So I knew that I could get in for the first half, and got caught slipping into what was in Philharmonic Hall to see Fidelio with Bernstein conducting but I was with one of his students, and they, just as we were going into the hall, we got caught by our necks, and Bernstein saw us being kicked out. And so he took us up with what used to be the where you could view, that doesn't exist anymore. And so I saw many concerts with great, great artists. Uh, you mentioned Leontine Price. I said I had that record when I wasn't interested so much in singing. It was one of the only records I had. That voice, but all of those other singers too, Marian Anderson, uh, all of the fantastic Black singers, George Shirley, people who just their very existence was an inspiration to me. So it was so many, and I think that was our generation. We were so blessed. Uh,
Hmm.
Roberta, Harlan, you're younger than we are, but
No, but
we were so blessed to have these people there, moving the doors for us, opening the doors,
Yes.
and showing us the way, and being the great artists. I mean, there's so many names, and Shirley Verrett. I mean, you've talked about them, I'm sure, on your show. The people who were inspiring, to see them stand on stage meant I can too do that. And so I've been very, very, very blessed, and I would say that Jenny Turrell certainly is uh, that one person who is always with me. My daughter is named Jenny, and
Oh.
mm,
but there were living in New York at that time. There were so many people that I got to see and that inspired me greatly.
And I am so happy that you were inspired, because you're one of the few artists on the planet that can just stand and deliver and captivate an entire audience. And
mhm.
I'm so glad that you shared this clip with me, because I just found it so beautiful. It's so precious and valuable. So I'm going to share this with everyone else. It's Ave Maria, and I just it's stunning. It's stunning. Oh my gosh. Can you teach me how to do that? Can you teach me how to?
It's just a prayer.
Oh, did you sing that what last week? Because it looks like it's very recent.
It's not. Well, it's a couple of years, and also I would say that the pianist is a pianist that I work with a lot, Roland Partonet. He's one of the greatest soloist Swedish pianists ever. And this was a hall where I started to do. When I started my own record label, I was recording a lot in that hall. It's the Academy Hall here in Stockholm, and we were doing a Schubert recording, and my producer said, "Can't we just record the Ave Maria?" So it wasn't so long ago.
Uh-huh. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. So, Harolyn, will you tell us about your early musical influences? Harolyn, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh no,
Oh, say something. Say something, Harolyn.
no, she doesn't hear you.
Oh
Can you
no.
say something?
No.
I can
Yeah, we
we
hear
can
you.
hear you. We
You can
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
I
Yes,
can't
Yeah.
hear you.
we can hear you.
I can't hear you. Oh, goodness. Technology.
Technology.
Oh,
Technology.
what's happened? What happened? Wait.
We can hear you.
No, I can't. I can't hear. I can't hear you.
Okay. So what I want you to do is sign out and then sign back in
Sign
and,
out, come back in. Okay.
come
All
back in.
right. All
So, Barbara, I wanted to mention the first time I ever saw you talk about influence. I was a student at the Philadelphia High School of Performing Arts, and you were in Philadelphia, and we walked over to the Academy of Music with our brown bag lunches, and you were rehearsing with Maestro Riccardo Muti, and you were singing a Mozart concert aria. And there you stood, and we were just stunned and amazed that we were seeing a beautiful Black woman that looked like us on stage with one of the greatest orchestras in the world, with one of the greatest conductors in the world. And there you are singing Mozart. And it was so gorgeous and so stunning. So just like you say that, Jenny Terrell and Leontine Price and Marian Anderson and Shirley Verrett were that example for you. You were that personal, physical first time example for me in my generation. So, and I thank you for that. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
that.
much.
right.
The first time I sang
Yeah,
with
here
that
I am.
orchestra.
Hello.
Oh, great. We'll let Harolyn in. We'll
I'm
talk
here.
about that another time.
Okay, you're here.
Okay.
Technology, we can work it out, folks. So, Harolyn, tell us about some of your early musical inspirations that helped usher you into this career.
Well, again, Leontine Price, the Blue Album. Going to the library and taking that out and refusing to return it for months. They finally had to say, "You have a major fine, Harold, and bring it back." I'm going, no, 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 no. So Leontine Price, hearing her for the first time on the Blue Album, then seeing her in concert at the Kennedy Center. And the other person who really is so dear to me, Riri Grist.
Hmm.
Because Riri and my career started the same with Leonard Bernstein in the orchestra pit. I think she was off stage. I was in the orchestra pit singing somewhere. And our careers basically just, basically the same. So, in the respect, I started there on Broadway singing somewhere. The next thing I sang was the Mahler Fourth Symphony, which Leonard Bernstein said to me one day, "That's the next thing that you should learn." And she sang the Mahler Fourth Symphony. And so every time I would walk into a audition, people would say to me, "You remind me of Riri Grist." And I finally, I mean, years later, I went to Germany to do an audition tour, and I got her number from my manager, and I called her up and I said, "Miss Grist, my name is Harolyn Blackwell. I must meet you." And she said, "Well, I don't have time to give you a lesson." I said, "I'm not interested in a lesson. I just need to meet you. Because every time I walk into an audition, everyone says, 'You remind me of Riri Grist.'" So Riri, really, I would say, was definitely. And even to this day, when I see her, I just start crying. I
Wow.
start crying because she's meant so much to me in the respect of her artistry and her beauty. But I have to say how fortunate I am. I started this career when there was Barbara, Roberta, Vincent, George, Shirley, Jesse, Kathy. These were all the artists that I emulated, that I wanted to become. And they set the standard for me. So I am grateful to each and every one of these great artists who have come before me. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Barbara, if it wasn't for Roberta, if it wasn't for Leontine, if it was for Marion. So, I stand on their shoulders, really. So I'm just, to be on that stage that night with Hilda, Barbara and Roberta, and these great artists. And I thought at one point, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I had to pinch myself. So I just came in that generation that was right behind, but with them. And I just learned so much from each and every one of them, just being on stage and being in their presence. So I'm grateful to you two ladies and everyone who's preceded me. So
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because this clip that you shared with me is going to help me usher the conversation into the actual impetus of why I wanted to get you all together. So enjoy.
Oh, potria, qual tema? Contesto consigliere. E tu appronta un abito da pescatore. Ogni cura si doglia di letto e s'accorre le magico tempo. Fra la folla dei credi ognuno s'abbandoni e folletti con me. Ed ognune s'abbandoni e folleggi con me.
Oh my God. That looked like so much fun.
It was fun, except for the heavy cloak.
And
I spent hours trying to figure out how to move that heavy cloak. It weighed 10 times more than I did.
my goodness. And what was
But
it
it was
like
fun.
working with that other fella, the tenor guy? You know his name.
The other guy, it was magnificent. It was a lesson every night. It was a
Uh-oh, your sound went out, Harolyn.
oh
Oh, there you go.
okay. It was just let me do this. Maybe this was okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. No, it was really a lesson every night, just working on stage with him. I just learned so much
Wow.
in that time with him. Yes.
Amazing. So, ladies, I want to know that performance of Les Notes di Figaro that included the three of you and our beloved Hilda Harris, who I believe is watching. We love you, Hilda.
Hi,
Yes,
Hilda.
Love you,
Hi.
love you, love you,
We
love you.
miss you.
Miss you, love you.
What? Because from my understanding, it only happened for one performance because it wasn't originally scheduled to happen with the four of you. So who was originally scheduled to be there, and then who came due to other circumstances?
Mm.
It was Susan.
Well,
Well,
There,
okay,
three
Roberta.
reverse.
Okay, Roberta, you tell us.
I was there because I had already been singing in the run before Christmas.
That's right.
And the second part of the run was supposed to be in January, and Kiri Takano was supposed to sing the Countess, and I was her cover, but she did not come.
Okay.
So I just continued in the run. And look, Hilda's
Oh,
watching.
watching.
Oh, hi, Hilda. Yeah. that was why I was in there.
And tell us, Roberta, you mentioned to me in our private conversation that something rather unpleasant happened. How rude.
Well, that was the first performance that was supposed to be Carrie's performance. And so da 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 da, and these curtains, boo, from up at the top of the house because I wasn't her.
Wow.
And I was just sort of standing there, like, waiting to do Poor Jamor. And I was sort of like, as if it wasn't hard enough. I said, well, I can't help it that I'm not her.
Right.
Just sit down and give me a chance here. So anyway, that's how that particular part of the run started. It okay. That being said, it was probably one person, but for me, it sounded like the entire Metropolitan Opera was booing. I mean, you know how we are, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just like overdrive. But anyway, that it didn't put me off my stride.
Uh-huh.
Put it mildly.
Mm.
And so, Barbara, what was your recollection of that night? Were you in the whole run already?
No, I think that's when I came in to that
Oh,
cast that was supposed to be with Carrie, and that ended up being with Roberta, and I was so happy because I can't even remember where Roberta and I met, but it's just we go back a long ways, and I don't remember the first time, but so I was so happy that it was Roberta. It was nothing against Carrie DeConova, but I was just happy to have Roberta in my cast, and then. Remember what fun we had doing that letter duet?
Oh
and
yes.
and and then I don't know who if I think Hilda was also in the show, or did she
No, it
come
was
in for that one?
Suzanne
Suzanne
Menser
Menser.
was
Suzanne
ill.
Menser, right?
Right.
Yeah, she was ill that evening. So
And that's when Hilda came in, right?
with, by the way, the fifth one of our quintet, the wonderful Loretta Di Franco as
Yes,
Marcia.
Exactly.
Girl, she
at the
she sang she sang that one. Anyway,
Marcelina.
so yeah, Marcellina.
But
Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
we didn't
I
really
like hearing
think about it.
Barbara.
We just sort of look around and say, we're four black women on. I didn't really think we didn't think
No.
about it, did we? We're just getting through the
No.
evening, and no, but it was,
It was years later.
yeah,
Years later when you're like, "Oh, wow. Imagine that." At
yeah,
that time we were so busy doing our job.
doing the show.
Hmm.
But you
Doing
remember,
the
it was such a huge set. The last time I had sung Susanna was some months before at the small theater in Munich, the Baroque theater.
Oh,
And the set was, I lost weight every night just running around, and I was just running all the time. So there was no time to think about it because the set for the Met was so big, and to
Mm.
sort of run around to make entrances. So we didn't really think about that we were somehow making history, but we were certainly enjoying being together.
Wow, that was amazing. So, Harolyn, can you hear me, Harolyn? Uh-oh.
Carolyn.
I'm
Harolyn.
here. I'm
Harolyn.
here. Get everyone now. I have to get off these buds. Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry
Fantastic.
again, Barbara.
So, what was your recollection of that night? And were you in the whole run or did you have to jump in?
No, I think I was in the second part of the run when Barbara. Yes, I was in the second part of the run with Barbara and Roberta, and because Suzanne was there. We had done the rehearsal, and I think Suzanne did the first performance, and then she became ill, and Hilda came in. So, and so
That's right.
we didn't even have a chance to rehearse. I just went, in Act 3, I just went, oh, there's Hilda. Oh, okay, let's go. And I didn't even know all this was happening because I don't come in. Barbarina doesn't come in until really Act 3. So, and I'm back there kind of getting my makeup on, and I just kind of go, oh, we have a change tonight. And it didn't, again, we were so busy. I think for me, it was just, okay, we have someone, Hilda's here, she's going through this, and we just have to be there, all of us together, to make this work. And it's so, I don't think, as we discussed, any of us were just thinking about what happened that particular night. It happened. We were doing our job. We were doing our work, what we all love. And it wasn't until years later that someone posted something during Black History Month. And I just went, oh, I guess we did.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
You,
moments. So, but I'm so grateful. I mean, grateful, honored that I was there with all of these fabulous, amazing women that I've always admired. And I was there that night. And at one point, I think I looked and went, oh, okay, something's different on this stage. And Loretta DeFranco's the only one of not color. Okay.
And you remember when at the end of that production, I've lost everybody now. Everybody's just going around in a circle.
oh,
I
that
see
might be.
you.
We see you.
Can you? Okay. Ooh. Anyway, so and you remember in that staging, that panel staging at the end, when you had the epilogue thing,
Right.
and each man went one by one. The men went left, and the women went right. And Loretta, I'll never forget. We were all standing down there, and she was the last one to join us. And she said, "Oh, I feel like I'm joining the Supremes." I've always remembered that. It was cracked me up. It was so fun.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. So, and now for my money, that should have been something that they captured both in photography, in the press. Like it should have been a gigantic moment because it had never happened up until that point, and sadly, it has never happened again. And we're talking now, what, 30 years, 31 years, and
At
we
least.
we still have not had 4 Black women in an opera outside of Porgy and Bess in leading roles at the Metropolitan. We've got to fix that. So my next question for you is: during that time in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, as a kid, seeing and being introduced to the Metropolitan Opera sort of for the first time, it looked like a renaissance of Black women because there were so many of you. I was speaking with Harolyn a few weeks ago when I got this idea to put this panel together. She said, Osceola Davis was around, and Florence Quivar was around, and Leona Mitchell was around, and
Isola Jones.
Isola Jones, and Maria Ewing, and Jessie Norman, and Kathleen Battle. What was it like to go to work every day and see not just you being the only one in the room or in the elevator or in the cafeteria or in the rehearsal hall or on the stage? What was that like? Who wants to, anybody can, how about you, Barbara, you take that.
Well, it was normal, really.
Yeah.
We didn't, it was not, oh, this is something special. It was normal. And not only at the Met, but in Europe and concert halls, it was normal for us to I sang often with Giulini, with Florence Quibar, because he loved Florence's voice. And in Italy and Germany, it was normal to meet other Black singers, particularly women, I would say, but to doing a concert in London or someplace. So, I did the Mahler Second Symphony with Jesse in London. So I didn't think, oh, this is extraordinary, and neither did the audience really. So what is not normal is how things then changed and sort of tightened up. At least that's what it looks like to me from where I sit. That things that either singers decided to do more popular music, or there are fewer singers who are interested, or the opportunities sort of closed down after those years. But for then, it felt normal to me.
How about you, Roberta? Was
Don't you remember? I mean, at least for me growing up, you would see Martina Arroyo hosting The Tonight Show.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
so you saw people who looked like you on TV doing this. There were all of these cultural, there were these those opera programs where someone would come on and sing an aria, or Ed Sullivan, where someone would come on. It was not such an unusual thing. And then it was unusual to be on stage with 3 other women of color in that Figaro, but it wasn't strange to be in the canteen of the Met and see 5 other Black women. I mean, I nearly fainted when I saw Shirley Verrett in the canteen. I just was like, oh my God, that's Shirley Verrett. I ran right over like the last fangirl, but so it wasn't, and then you had like the younger generation who was behind you, who were coming up, or like then there was a time when Vincent and I sang Bohème in that Zeffirelli production at the Met. So it wasn't such an unusual thing at that time. I think.
Alexa, stop.
Oh, see,
Alexa,
child. I don't know. I don't know about
me
her.
either. I don't know about Siri.
No, yeah, she's Siri's sister. She.
Yeah, I don't like her either.
That's too much for us, Roberta.
Yeah. Turn it on, turn it off. This with the knob, yeah. Okay.
Unplug her.
Yes. Sorry.
So, Harolyn, what do you think attributed it to so many of you, us, being there all at the same time? Was it just happenstance? Like what ushered that in? Because it wasn't sort of that way before, and it certainly wasn't that way after. And we're sort of just tipping the iceberg of it, trying to be that way again. What do you think happened to make that happen at the time?
Well, I think it was just such a wealth of incredible talent, first of all. First and foremost. Okay? It was just such a wealth of incredible talent. And I think James Levine had quite a bit to do with that. A lot of there under his, under the time period that he was there, especially in the beginning when he was there, and that during that period. But I think first and foremost, it was such a wealth of great artists that were there. And you couldn't overlook that. You just finally had to say, you got to open these doors. We're coming. We're coming. And we're here. So, I mean, when you think, for me, doing that ballo and thinking about the fact that Florence and I were on that stage with Terry Cook when that was Marian Anderson's debut.
My goodness.
I mean, they were nice when I walked off that stage, and I literally started crying because to be there, knowing that she opened that door so that, look at this, there's three of us on this stage now, you know, or the four of us being on the stage. It was just the talent was there, and I don't know. There are moments now when I think, what happened?
What happened?
What happened? And that answer I really do not know, because my generation or even the generation after, your generation, the talent is there. So
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what. But I remember, for example, that summer we were in Aix-en-Provence, Barbara, and Barbara was there, I was there, Claren McFadden, Claren McFadden.
Yeah.
And the summer I was in Limebourg, Roberta and we were there, and it was. I'm just thinking, Cynthia Clary. So it was just such this wealth of talent that was just there, and I don't know what happened, but that's all right. Heck, we've always been here.
Yes,
Yeah, but
and we ain't
things go
And
in
we aren't
waves
going
sometimes.
anywhere either.
No, but things go in waves, I think, sometimes.
Mhm.
But also we were coming really out of our generation was coming out of the civil rights movement. Also, that's when everybody had been watching Roots. I mean, I know that those people, all those really nice Republicans who were so kind to me in Lincoln, Nebraska, who really helped to push me to go to Aspen and tried to help me when I got to New York. They were part of that wanting to try to fix something that was wrong in the country. And I felt that that's what I benefited from. I mean, I often have people ask me if I suffered in my career because of the color of my skin, and I said, I guess it's because it's the way I look at things, but I only saw the blessings, the people who helped me because of it, the people who said, helped me because of my talent, who thought this is a talent. And, and I went further than those people could have ever imagined, but that they wanted to, they wanted to help me because of my talent. And I think that was something that was in the country. And also, also in Europe, because I met a lot of singers who had come to Europe in the generation before me, and who were in all the opera houses. So I think there was something that was going on in the country, and then things tightened up. As you can see, the division, the political division that in the world we live in, and that became a little bit closed. So, but things do go in waves, and as long as the talent is there, the doors will be sprung open.
Nice.
Because
absolutely.
but I think that we had an unusually talented generation. I mean,
Absolutely.
you go to auditions, and it was like, any of us could get this job. I mean, there were 10 people who could do it. There were 10 people who could do it. And you wouldn't be surprised if any one of them were chosen for the job, on those auditions. So we had an incredibly talented generation. I don't know, it was something in the food or something. It was before fast food. We ate real food, real collard greens and, chitlins.
I love it. The secret is in the collard greens, folks. That's what it is.
and in those chitlins, if they have to be really well cleaned, huh?
That's right.
I mean, most of you from New York, you don't know what chitlins are, but Roberta knows. That's right.
I love it. I love it. So the three of you also have something else in common besides the gorgeous color of your skin and your incredible talents, but you're all equally brilliant at opera, at being an orchestral soloist, and being a recitalist. Were you taught those three disciplines? Did you have to gravitate to them all, or did they all sort of come very naturally? Roberta.
Well, I I think, I mean, for me, I wanted to be an opera singer. That was the main thing that I wanted to do. And that lasted a good long time throughout undergrad, also 2 summers at the Aspen Music Festival, Interlochen, you name it. Grad school, I suddenly was introduced to Strauss Lieder and Brahms and Poulenc. And I thought, oh, well, this is kind of nice, actually. Let me see. I mean, you don't have to always be singing opera, but let's see what this all is. So it sort of grew in a natural way. And then I became like curious about what else is out there, what what you could do. And by the time I got to Europe, which was really early on in my career, that was before I went to the opera studio, I can't remember who it was who told me this, that if you want to have a career that will sustain you um, um, emotionally, artistically, and also put food on the table, it is very good for you to have an equal amount of opera, leader, and concert rep. Because like Barbara was talking about the wave, this also goes in waves. Like sometimes there'll be times when you just have one recital after the other and hardly any opera, or you'll just be singing Mahler 2 and Mahler 4 and Mahler 2 and Mahler 4 and Mahler 8 and Mahler 2 and Mahler 4, and till you say stop. And then there'll be the other times when you've got opera. So it's really, at that time when I was a very young artist, this was key for me as a learning experience. And those recitals, they require a different kind of finesse. Mm-hmm. And of course, yeah. Then being a technique geek, yeah, that kind of thing. That kind of thing really, I got into that. And of course, the repertoire is huge, so you can really explore stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that was what in the back of my mind of also trying to be a complete person as an artist, and not just not one part.
Absolutely.
There's only carrots.
Say that right, huh?
So I want to share with everyone this clip that you shared with me, and I think it's so gorgeous. And you have to tell me where they found the orchestral parts for this, because I've never heard it orchestrated before. But it's so beautiful, so beautiful. Catch this, everybody.
Watch for me this side the
So I was not expecting to get emotional, but that just made me tear up. Oh,
It's that music.
it's
That
so
is just the
beautiful.
best song. Isn't it the best song?
And the way you do it, your interpretation of it, and that gorgeous picture. Good God. I mean, that is the cover of a magazine. I mean, just stunning.
Oh,
But that is artistry at its highest. And I thank you for that. Thank you for that.
thank you.
Oh my God. So tell me, Harolyn, what is it about being triple faceted? Um, Harolyn, can you hear me? Harolyn,
Harolyn.
Harolyn.
I can't hear Kenneth.
Harolyn.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Kenneth.
you can't hear me now?
No, I hear
Okay,
Roberta. I hear Barbara, but not you.
but not me.
Okay,
Wow.
Kenneth asked me.
Ooh.
Let me go out again. I'll come back in. I don't
Okay.
know what's happening. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
So Roberta, tell me about that recording and when I was researching all of the stuff on you, I noticed that you recorded a lot of Samuel Barber. Tell me what was it about his music that attracted you and suited you so well?
I was attracted to the just his way with the melody and the way with the words. See, for me, when I learned Knoxville, and I will be forever grateful to the wonderful Craig Rudenberg, who was with me every note of that score when I was learning it. But that was when I fell in love with Samuel Barber. It was like I thought, oh my gosh, I need to go and find out more and get and get some songs. And then when the etc. came up with the idea of a second Barber album, then I said, okay, well, let me attempt to delve into the other waters, and it was amazing. I mean, something about his way with the melody.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did it.
Do you know who orchestrated? Can you remember who orchestrated that? Because it's outrageous.
No.
Okay, that's my next project because I have to. The next time I have an orchestral engagement and they ask me what I want to sing.
Yeah.
So Harolyn, can you hear me now? We're good. Now I can't hear you. Did you press the mute button? I can't hear you. Okay, go out and try it again, and I'll go to Barbara for the time being. So, Barbara,
I wanted to ask Roberta a question because I think I remember there was a young Dutchman who started a record company who did that recording with you. What was his name? He was such a lovely person. He died.
David
He started
Rossiter.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he loved you. I remember he used to work in Paris and he just loved you. And you did that recording with him, but I couldn't remember his name. He was a lovely person. Excuse me, this is personal stuff. We could have talked
Yeah.
on the phone. Sorry.
Well, we can do that. We can do that tomorrow.
Yeah, we can do, but the photo reminded me.
Yeah. David, yes.
Yeah.
wow.
Harolyn?
Harolyn?
Can you hear me? Now we can't hear you. None of us can hear you. Okay. So, Barbara,
She's in New York.
Yeah, she's in New York. So, right, she's in New York, the closest to me. All of the recordings that you have, I didn't realize you sold like over 14 million copies. Good Lord. And I remember specifically your Foray CD, which got me through undergrad, was just so incredible. I think I learned my senior recital set of Foray off of your CD. But you also recorded lots of spirituals with Moses Hogan.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about how that project and relationship happened?
Well, I mean, I always, because of singing in the church, I always sang spirituals, and I often sang them, often as encores in my concerts, because if I put spirituals into the program, then that's what people would want. They want Ave Maria and spirituals. So I made them go through Debussy, Strauss, and sometimes Shostakovich to get those spirituals at the end. And I had done a spiritual recording with a Russian pianist, Dmitry Alexeyev, who was really fantastic. But I wanted to go back to a choral, that choral setting that I grew up with a cappella. I mean, my father started out in rural churches that didn't have an organ or piano, and we all sang a cappella. And I was in, I think, Atlanta, and I had an NPR in the room. And I came out of the shower and I just heard this choir, and I couldn't, and it was too late and nobody announced it. And I thought, that's the sound I want. That's what I want. And we finally found Moses Hogan, and we got in contact with him, and I asked him if he would like to do a recording of spirituals with me. And we did, and we actually toured we were in Europe. We did several performances before he died, and it was so great to get that sound that I wanted. That because here in Europe, people mix up gospel and spirituals, and I tried to explain that music that was sort of, that grew out of the group, that grew out of the people, and that was the sound I wanted. And Moses was able to help me to get that sound with his choir, and so it was a great pleasure for me to, and just like, that's destiny. Walking out of the shower and hearing that on the radio, it wasn't something I planned, and it was really happy times to do that, and to tour with him.
Fantastic. Harolyn, are you with us?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yay, yes.
Yay.
Yes. So
Can we figure this out? Both of these beautiful, gorgeous women are in Europe and have no problem, and I'm down the street from you, and we're together technology-wise.
it's the concrete of New York, So, Harolyn, can you tell us about your very varied career, both on the operatic stage, the recital stage, and the concert stage? What about those three disciplines excites you, and why did you excel at all three of them so beautifully?
Well, this is a funny story, because this goes back to Sam Neefeld and Kevin Hassler. Roberta Alexander was our manager. And Kevin said to me one day, well, Harolyn, we envision you having a career where you sing opera, concert, and recitals. And I said to Kevin, I'm an opera singer. I don't do the other two. And he said, well, yes, you will be doing the other two. And I went, oh, okay. Being young, being stupid, okay. And and so we had at that point the Columbia, remember the Columbia Artists
Show and tell.
Yes, show and tell.
Show and tell.
Show and tell. That's exactly what it was. And you went around the country and you did recitals. And
Community concerts.
Community concerts.
Thank you, Roberta. Community concerts.
Yes, but remember the show and tell when we had to present our programs.
Yes, exactly. And so that was, and I'll never forget this. I decided to do Adele's Laughing Song. And I remember Sam Neefeld calling me into his office and saying, young lady, we sing it in the original language, not English. I went, okay, got it. So that was my first year at Columbia Artists. And so I did all these recitals in these really small communities, but it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I got the bug. I just thought, what I love about doing recitals is you have the opportunity to create all of these characters in the evening. And for me, coming from a theatrical background, that was just so important to me. I love opera. You have this arc where you're creating this character, but to have the opportunity to sing, to create so many characters in the evening, and to sing so many different composers in the evening was just exciting. And this, for me, is the purest form of communication with your audience. And that is what really became so important to me. And then the concert work of doing the Mahler Fourths, Strauss. And so really, I mean, right before Kevin passed away, we had a real chuckle about that. I said, well, okay, I'm doing all three. Like you told me I would. And but Roberta's absolutely right. To have that flexibility to go between all three of them, and was important to me as an artist, so that I could continually grow as an artist. And I'll take this from Jesse. I didn't want to be pigeonholed. Okay, they say you're just this, you just do this, you just do this. I said no, I want to be able to do everything. And then in my case, coming from Broadway and returning back to Broadway to do Candide years later. So I've always, that's always has been my goal, and I've been fortunate to have people around me who understood that. My managers, my coaches, my voice teachers. It's about being a great artist and singing great music. That's what's important to me. Yeah.
Can I ask Harolyn something?
Sure.
Please.
That could have gone there.
Yes.
Did they know what to do with you as a? I mean, you didn't need a mic, did you?
Well, there's a very funny story about that. And I said, do I have to have a mic for this? And they said, well, in order for you to blend with everyone, yes, because it'll be your sound only, really, just coming to this house. And we were at the Gershwin Theater, which is a big theater for musicals. So one day I just finished singing Glitter and Begay, and I ran off stage and had to come back quickly. And I didn't have my mic pack with me. And I just sang the last couple phrases, and I went, stop. That's my voice. That is what I have got to hear. I don't care what you guys are doing back there with those buttons, but I have got to hear that voice. This is what I'm trained to do. I am an opera singer, okay? And they went, oh, okay. Buttons went down. It was frustrating. It was really frustrating in the beginning until that moment, because I could feel that I'm not hearing my sound. I feel like I'm pushing. What's going on here? And finally, it was like the aha. Oh no. That's why you asked me to come and do this. That's what I'm going to do. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So this next clip, Harolyn, and I'm so grateful that you shared this. And for the audience out there, all of my guests, when they come on the show, when I invite them, I ask them to send me clips of their work that they want me to share. So it's not just me going out there and picking what I want. And I'm so glad, Harolyn, that you chose this particular clip, because it was the first time I had ever seen you and heard you sing. And of course, I was absolutely transfixed. And I'll tell you why when this is over. Enjoy.
Okay.
Wow.
Bravo.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Brava.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Really.
Listen,
Thank
n- now I don't want to hear nobody else do it. That's just.
We have two great, wonderful singers right here.
Oh my God. That okay, so for everybody who doesn't know, that was at the Grammy Awards. And back when I feel the Grammy Awards like presented great music equally. Now like the classical awards are like they say in a ceremony held earlier, these people won. But back then it was you
In
were
a
on there
closet.
in a
In a
closet.
closet somewhere. You know.
Yes. So tell us, can you tell us where were you when you get the phone call to ask you to sing on the Grammys and then to sing that iconic song? And then you were going to be doing it on this makeshift Porgy and Bess set. And then Anita Baker is giving you a standing ovation. Like, what is that?
Well, I was at that point. We were living in Saint Martin in the Caribbean, and my manager called. It was Ken Benson called me and said they we just got a call for you to sing at the Grammys because our album, The Porgy and Bess, that we had done at Glyndebourne was up for Best Classical Opera
Gotcha.
that year, and I went, oh, okay. So how am I going to get from St. Martin to, this is just weird. I'm thinking, how am I going to get to St. Martin to LA? Okay, because I don't know why that came into my mind. I'm here on an island and I'm going to go up there, okay? But right before this was really strange because this happened in the middle of, I think a couple of weeks before I had to come up to New York and we were doing Bodlo, as a matter of fact, a concert version of Bodlo with the New York Phil. Then I had to run out to LA, and then I had to come off to Seattle to do my first La Fille in Seattle. So this was kind of squeezed in between, and I thought, oh, this is sheer craziness. But this is once in a life opportunity. You just have to make it work. And I got there, and it was insane. I mean, you sing all these, you sing all these pop people, you sing, and I'm going again. How am I here? Okay, how stage? This Herbie Hancock, this Miles Davis. Okay, what am I doing here? And so they said, "This is the set. This is what you're going to do." And I just remember this is what I kept thinking because I was so nervous. I said, look at the spotlight. Whatever you do not take your eyes off that spotlight. And that is, I mean, once the music started, then that was it. That was it. But I just remember thinking, oh, just keep looking at the spotlight and singing. And I didn't know Anita Baker had stood up until, weeks later. Weeks later, someone said, "Oh my God, you see Anita Baker stood up?" I went, "No," and but I got to, I was like, "No, no, I didn't see that. I was still looking at the spotlight."
Wow.
But
Wow, wow, wow.
yeah. It was a real honor, and yeah, because I think right after me, Herbie Hancock was right in front of me, and Miles Davis was right behind me after I finished singing.
My
And
goodness.
I'm just going to stay.
Wow.
Just listen. Okay. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to stay here, just be immersed with all this amazing talent. That's all I'm going to do. So yeah, great.
So Barbara, you have ventured so beautifully and commandingly into jazz. How did jazz come into your life and into your career?
Well, it was by chance, really. I mean, I was living at that time in Montreux, where they have the Montreux Jazz Festival, and I've always been a great jazz fan since I was a teenager because I used to babysit for one of the best jazz pianists in Arkansas, Arthur Porter, and he was our choir director. And that's where, when the kids would sleep, I discovered all these records of fantastic jazz singers, and I was and I would listen to the records, But then I was too young. I mean, I was 16 when I finished high school, so I was too young to sing with him because I couldn't go into clubs. And then as you know, when I came to New York, I would go to listen to jazz with a towel because that's when people smoked, and I would get that towel wet over my nose because that's the only way I could stand the smoke. And then when I moved to Montreux, and I thought, you know, my dream was I have a picture of Ella Fitzgerald on the cover live from Montreux. I said the first thing I'm going to do is go to the festival. So I got to know the director and the founder of the festival, and he lived in a chalet up the mountain. And the only way to get my kids to go for a walk on Sundays was to say we're going to go by Claude's because Claude's house was full of gadgets. He was like the first person in Switzerland to have a Walkman, you know, and the kids loved going to Claude's house. So one Sunday we were talking about Duke Ellington. He had these great archives of the festival. And I said, you know, oh, what a great, not only great musician, but a great human being. And he said, come to the festival and do a tribute to Duke Ellington. And it took me 2 years to put the program together. First, he wanted me to do it with Oscar Peterson, but he was ill that year. So he found Monty Alexander, Ira Coltman, and Ed Thigpen, who used to be in the trio of Oscar Brown, who was the ex-husband of Ella Fitzgerald. And we put together this program, and I thought, you know, it's just a tribute. I mean, you know, my audience is going to come because they like me. And the jazz audience is going to appreciate that I'm doing a tribute to Duke Ellington. But I so enjoyed doing this work because I think the foundation of my work is really chamber music. I loved from the beginning chamber music. And I did lieder before I did opera because I loved it. But the idea of making music together, listening together. So everything, even when I work with an orchestra, I face them when I rehearse to try to make
is the Wi-Fi out again?
No, you're good.
You're good. So I loved it so much, and I thought, well, I want to learn this, but I'm going to take this. I'm going to be humble and be a student of it. And that's when I started to just add a few jazz concerts. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to really do this well, I've got to get into the blues. Now, growing up, the blues, my father thought it was the devil's music because what it talked about. Although it was the same as gospel, but it was just different words. And I thought, I need to learn the blues. So I started listening to the old bluesmen, you know, Son House, Reverend Gary Davis, and started doing blues. And right now I'm doing a program that is called Road to Freedom. It's about gospel and blues songs that supported the civil rights movement. And in order to help my audience understand it, I have put in quotations of Martin Luther King in whichever language of where I am, in Spain or in Sweden, and to guide them on this road to freedom. And it's a program that just sort of keeps evolving. There's one song I do, which is called Down in Mississippi, which is about lynching. And the last time I did it, the last concert was in September. I usually add the name of Emmett Till, and then I just sort of got going, and it was George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, you know, and Susan Blunt, and you know, all of those that before and after George Floyd, so and Emmett Till, so that sort of just, you know, I just kept evolving. My idea was not I'm going to become a jazz singer, not at all. It was just I'm going to learn this music and see where it leads me, and now it sort of led me to doing the blues. So I stayed with the blues, but then Mozart is blues. That Mozart Requiem is blues.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's so I mean, I've always been singing the blues, and I remember my daughter when she was little, and she said, "Oh, you know, but this classical music, it doesn't move." And I said, "Listen to this." I said, "This is Schubert. Listen to this. It's got rhythm." So blues. I guess I've been singing the blues all my life, and that's when I sing Mozart or when I sing Puccini, I'm still singing the blues. And so I've just sort of come home.
Fantastic. Amazing. Now, this clip that you sent to me, it's not technically the blues, it's not jazz, but it's absolutely exquisite. And if you see a number on the YouTube that says 2 million people have viewed this, 1,364,000 of them were me because cannot I cannot get over
Thank you.
how absolutely sublime this is. And I'm so excited to share this with the audience today. And I want to talk to you about what it is, what the occasion was after we're done. So I'm going to set it up here. And I hope you all enjoy this as much as I did. Oh my God.
Mm.
That's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life.
Thank
In
you.
my life. What was that? Where was that? How did you call upon such beauty, such energy, such a heavenly atmosphere? Tell me about that, please.
Well, this was for the Polar Prize. It's a musical prize. I mean, that are given to many great musicians, and this was to Morricone, Ennio Morricone, who just died last year. And I had met him at the Cannes Festival and had done some music for a film that he did. And so when he was given this prize, they asked me to sing. This is Deborah's song of Morricone. And he was seated next to the King and Queen of Sweden. And on the other side of him was,
Oh,
I think, Björk, who the Icelandic singer who also received a prize that year, and the princess and her husband on the other side of her. So it was for that. And um, he never ever allowed anyone to do his music except himself. So this was quite
mm.
unusual that he was not conducting it himself. And so I think it came as a surprise to him to see the treatment and the that we did of that piece for him. So
Oh,
it was a very moving moment because I mean it was such a great composer. You know, all of those spaghetti westerns that he did the
yeah.
music for. So it was, but very interesting the thing that happened at the beginning when it started. There was some mistake in the orchestra, and I turned to the conductor and I said, "You have to start again." En gång till. And so he stopped and we started again. But of course, then on the clip you don't see that. And I had friends of mine, actors who were in the audience. She said, "But how'd you have the nerve to do that?" I said, "You know, I'm going to sing this for him for once in his life. I'm singing this for him. It's got to be right." So we
Yes.
started from the beginning.
I love it. I love it.
So
It's
thank you for
exquisite.
your
It's absolutely exquisite. Each of you are just such incredible vessels of greatness, and the world is better for having you all and your talents in it. I think I can speak for everybody watching today and for the whole world that we are better because of the three of you and because of what you have contributed to the world as global citizens. And so I am grateful, so grateful.
Thank you.
So I have had
Thank
you all
you.
here for almost 2 hours. My
Yeah,
God.
and I have
And
to put something in the
And
oven, you
it's
know.
right.
dinner time.
And it's dinner time,
I
and
know I
Roberta has
have to
a
put something in the oven.
Roberta needs to order her Chinese takeout, and Barbara has a roast to put in the oven. But I have
Oh, you just told on me.
I was going to tell you to order me something, Roberta. No, but there's just a couple of little questions, fun questions at the end that I like to do with all of my guests. So if you will indulge,
Okay.
um, the first is, and we can go in the order. Let's go Harolyn, Roberta, Barbara. What is your favorite noise or sound?
Waves.
Bells.
That water waves calms me. There's just something
Mm.
very reassuring about that for me and calming for me. And living on an island in the Caribbean, so I really got used to that for 10 years. I'm still
Wow.
not used to this concophony that we have here in the United States of America. So I miss that waves. I would say waves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Roberta?
Well, I like bells.
Hmm.
There's something kind of, I don't know, solid about hearing bells.
Yeah.
I like that. I have no idea why. Anyway, so
What about you, Barbara?
It's got to be the laughter of my grandsons.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
love
I'm
that.
the last grandmother, you know. I mean, really.
Yeah.
that laughter just, there's hope. There is, no matter how things look, they're there. So I know things are going to always get better. So that laughter, just because it's so pure,
Yeah.
and it just warms my heart.
Fantastic. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt, and would you never want to attempt?
Well, I think that tells you that we really love our profession.
Yes. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. I really did. I wanted to be an attorney.
Part of me, a lawyer and politician.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whoa.
And I think that's part of living in Washington, D.C., born and raised in Washington, D.C., and always being around politics.
Yeah.
And that has always been intriguing to me. And I've always felt that if I hadn't pursued this would be another way I would want to help people to change the world, to make the world a better place by going in there and trying to move something, the justice system. So I think it would be a lawyer, politician, because if we don't have justice in this world, we cannot move ahead.
Yeah.
I think that.
Okay. Roberta?
Well, I at one time I wanted to be a biologist because I really like, biology, and that's a sort of a toss, sort of a thing where it's interesting to me, the way the body works, the way. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I faked my parents out. One year I told them I was changing my major to biology instead of music. They completely freaked out.
Wow.
Well, anyway, I loved that. What do I know? I mean, I was 16 when I went to college, so you have this rebellious thing going on. I don't think I would ever want to be a politician. No, especially unless I could be one that always told the truth.
Yeah, well, that's why we do.
I mean, but no, when Harolyn said that, I thought, now that's exactly what I would not want to do. Thank you. Anyway.
What about you, Barbara?
What would I want to do? Oh, that's difficult because I've never sort of wanted to be where I'm not. But I suppose if that's a choice, maybe I would rather the humanitarian work that I do, I would like to be able to do it and go into the field and do it in the field, because being there with the people all the time, it's so gratifying, and you see people go through things and they don't lose that. Women, particularly women refugees, are so strong, and they don't give up, and they just they have to fight for their children. They have to fight for themselves. I once spoke to a woman in Greece who had just tried 3 times with 3 small children to get from Turkey to Greece on a boat. She was turned back twice, and I asked her, I said, do your children swim? And she said, no. And I said, but you still came. She said, because I had to get out, and I had to try to give my children a better life. So I think I would go and work in the field. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I would never do is not because I wouldn't want to, it's because I couldn't, would be an astronaut, because I can't even go on the carousel without my stomach getting upset. I would love to have been an astronaut, but there's no way you're going to turn me upside down without losing my dinner. So that's the thing that I couldn't be. And also I'm a little claustrophobic.
Yeah, I'm extremely claustrophobic. That wouldn't work for me at all. Okay,
So,
not at all.
no.
Okay, last question. And before the last question, again, I just want to thank all three of you for coming on with me and sending much love to Hilda. We know you're watching. We love you.
Yes, we love you, Hilda.
Love you, Hilda.
That's right.
Love.
Call me, Hilda.
It was so fun. I have to tell the audience, it was so fun before we went live. We were just on chit chat, and I said, we can't waste all the good stuff in here while we weren't live. But you ladies are just exquisite and just wonderful human beings. And I'm, again, grateful and honored that you took 2 hours out of your day to spend with me and with the audience to shine a light on your beautiful work, the history that you've made, her story that you've made, the doors that you've opened for so many, the inspirations that you all represent for so many artists. And I just want to say thank you. You know, Maya Angelou said that saying thank you is the greatest thing that you say to someone, because thank you is what you say to God. And so I thank you. I thank you. So the last question is, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, heaven does exist.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Wow. I think I would like for him to say, "You have done my work.
Yeah.
You have done my work." For your singing and just being a good human being, a kind human being.
Fantastic. What about you, Roberta?
I was thinking something similar, something along the lines of, you did well.
Yeah. And Barbara?
Yeah, you've done your best, and choir rehearsal begins in half an hour.
Go get your robe and get warmed up.
Get your robe and sing. Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. That was incredible. So, ladies, as we leave, don't sign off when we go offline. I just want to tell you something privately offline. But everybody out there, thank you so much for coming and spending in
Thank you.
So much, Kenneth.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Kenneth.
this invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I love you. Love you all
Oh,
so
yeah,
much.
that's a good one. Yeah.
I like this one. This is
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't be
so hard.
Thank you.
Barbara, go get that roast going, and
I'm gonna go put this in the oven.
Okay.
And I'll be right back.
Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. Ciao.
Bye.